So that would be something you would suggest to get her on that call. Now, the reason we do this again is first of all to screen her, to make sure that she's not some mountain troll who, when you show up to the date, you're disappointed in, but also to solidify a date and make it more likely that she's going to show up.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
What is up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. I really do appreciate it. And today we are going to talk about how to get a better date solidified off the dating apps, because we all know how it is. Women are really flaky. They're really fickle. They have tons of options. And just to get the girl on the date is really difficult. So we're going to do the Bumble to FaceTime to date, or of course, Tinder, Hinge, Facebook singles, Match, wherever you're at, to FaceTime, or if you're an Android user, Google Meet to date. And we're going to talk about that today. So first of all, gentlemen, you have to understand that the dating apps are heavily skewed in the favor of women. It was funny. The other day, my mom texted me and she's like, "Hey, Mark, my friend really wanted me to text you and ask you if you could give her some advice." And I was like, "Her some advice?" And she's like, "Yeah, she's a woman. She wants some dating advice." And I'm like, "I don't have any advice to give, because honestly, all you have to do is be as attractive as possible, be as feminine as possible." And to put it straight to you boys, and I put it straight to my mom, and hopefully she relayed the message to her, the dating apps are completely and utterly skewed to the favor of women. That's why you get these girls on the dating apps that think they're God's gift to men. And you're like, dude, you literally look like an unfrozen cave woman, a mountain troll, a sea donkey. And you're like asking me how tall I am, how much money I make, and like how I'm going to be successful in the future. It's like, look at yourself, bro. You need to up your game in order to put me, or try to put me, through these like tough parameters. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are agreeing with me right now. It's so unbelievably skewed in the favor of women. Why? Because guys are thirsty and women have more options. I've read stats that say for every one woman on the dating apps, there's 20 men. I've also read stats that have said for every one woman, there's 10 men, but still, it's skewed against you and it's skewed in the favor of women. And this is why when you come into my 3-month coaching program, we really focus on cold approach. We focus on meeting women in person, how to spit game when you just see a girl at a supermarket, a girl at a gym. And honestly, that's where the hottest girls are. I mean, let's be completely frank with each other. Do you think a super high quality woman who's really hot, who has a great personality, a great sense of humor, who's educated, and who isn't a psycho hose beast is going to be on the dating apps? Now, I get it, boys. There's a lot of girls who are busy. They may be in medical school. They may have other things going on, and they just haven't had luck meeting guys in person. And those kinds of girls get on the dating apps. There are quality girls on the dating apps, but for the large majority of them, they always kind of seem to have something a little off about them. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are agreeing, which is why we want to test them first before we let them get on a date with us. And look at the way I reframe that. I said, let them get on a date with you. Because once again, boys, as I always say in this podcast, you are the prize. You are the quote unquote hot chick. The red helmeted warrior in your pants, as I always joke about, is the prize that she's trying to get. So let's put her through some parameters. Let's qualify her. Let's see if she's up to snuff. Because you've probably also had the situation where you meet a girl on the dating app. She's pretty cute. You like her pictures. You're like, yeah, this chick's pretty hot. And then she shows up 20 pounds later. And you're thinking to yourself, this girl straight lied to me. She looks completely different than her pictures. And guys, when it came to me, when I was actively dating, especially off the dating apps, I would tell girls, I'll be like, dude, you look completely different than your pictures. I feel like you weren't really truthful with me. You should update those to give a realistic representation of who you are. So with all that being said, gentlemen, we want to screen these girls. And furthermore, we want to increase the chances of them actually going on a date with us. So I'm going to talk about how to do that with the Tinder to FaceTime to date protocol. So when you meet a girl on the dating apps, your first strategy, of course, is to throw out some interesting templates, all of which I give in my 3-month coaching program to reel these girls in. Now, not to toot my own horn or fluff my own feathers, but when you come into my program, in week 3, I give you an absolute stack of template after template after template to message these girls that have proven successful to not only get the conversation started, but get it to stick and then to get her on a date. This episode is not dedicated to that. I've mentioned some of the templates I've used in other episodes. This episode is about how to get her on a FaceTime call. So when you're messaging with her, you want to get her on what's called a high note. A high note is when you guys relate on something. It's when she's laughing. It's when she's feeling good. That's when you go for the close. A general sales principle, which I'm going to talk about sales a little bit more in this episode, so stay tuned, is to always go for the ask when the prospect is on a high note, an emotional high note. So when she's feeling good, you ask to have a FaceTime call rather than have a date. Or for you Android users, a Google Meet or whatever kind of platform that you want to use to basically have a Zoom interaction. Now, many guys ask me, how many texts back and forth does it usually take before I could go for that call? Now, obviously, it completely varies depending on the kind of girl you're talking to, what your personality is, the kind of template you're using, but usually it's about an average of 7. And when I say 7, that means 7 messages that you send and then 7 that she sends back on average. This is in no way a concrete rule. This is just average. It could go 20 messages. It could go 3 messages. I've had messages that I've gone 60 because we're just clicking off. We're just having a great conversation. It just goes on its own. And what you want to do is look for that emotional high note. Now, to ask for the first date, we say something to the effect of, hey, you seem pretty cool. I think we owe it to ourselves to hang out sometime. Do you agree with this brilliant conclusion? Now, guys, if you've been listening to my podcast for any amount of time, you know that these templates that I give you, just like that soundbite that I just shared with you, have converted time and time and time again. These are the highest converting sound bites that are field tested and Mark Singh approved. So it would behoove you to use that word for fucking word. Yes, boys, when you go for the hangout over text, you say, so, hey, you seem pretty cool. I think we owe it to ourselves to hang out sometime. Do you agree with this brilliant conclusion? Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about instead converting her to a FaceTime call, Zoom call, Google Meet call. I literally had to Google what it's called when people meet on Android because I'm an iPhone user. And not to hate on Android users, but it absolutely sucks when you have a thread going with a bunch of your friends and one guy has to have the Android so that when you send the video, it makes it lower quality and messes it up for everybody else. So you gotta like message that guy on the side. I'm not hating on Androids. I used to have them, but I'm an iPhone user now and it's so much easier to just airdrop somebody a video or a photo and it's easier to have iMessage with people. Just my personal opinion. It's always that one dude. And of course, the one dude in my entire family, we literally have like 16 people on this ongoing group thread. The one dude is my awkward stepdad, Ed, who refuses to get an iPhone and he's got the Android and it messes up our entire conversation. So I always have to like message Ed on the side. I'm like, by the way, here's the video that I shared with everybody else that your phone would have lessened the quality of. And here you go, buddy. But again, guys, I'm not hating on Android users. Apparently you guys can use Google Meet. So that would be something you would suggest to get her on that call. Now, the reason we do this, again, is first of all to screen her, to make sure that she's not some mountain troll who, when you show up to the date, you're disappointed in, but also to solidify a date and make it more likely that she's going to show up. So instead of saying, hey, you seem pretty cool, I think we owe it to ourselves to hang out sometime, you say this. You say, so, hey, Sarah, I think you'll agree that texting is a limited way to get to know somebody. So how would you feel about jumping on a FaceTime call? Once again, that's, so hey, Sarah, I think you'll agree that texting or messaging is a limited way to get to know somebody. So what would you say about jumping on a FaceTime call? Now, there can be an initial step where you try to move her over to texting. And the soundbite for that is, so hey, Sarah, I'm never on this app. I literally never use it. So how would you feel about moving this over to texting? Then if she says yes, you say, cool, toss me your number, and you move it over to texting. Then you can either be texting with her or you're still using the Tinder messaging app, Bumble, Hinge, Match, whatever, and you say that soundbite. You say, so hey, I think you'll agree that messaging back and forth is a pretty limited way to get to know somebody. So how would you feel about moving this over to a FaceTime call or a Google Meet call or a Zoom call or even a phone call, boys? I prefer to have video just so I can see what she looks like and so that I can show her my confidence and show her my tonality. Obviously, I'm confident in myself because I do these videos, I do podcasting, I talk to girls all the time. So I'm like, yo, once she gets on the call with me, it's over. Once she sees how I behave on camera, once she sees how I talk, how funny I am, she's decimated. Like, she's definitely attracted. She's going to agree to the hangout. So you ask her to do that. And then if she says yes, you say, hey, listen, don't stress it. I myself am going to look like a homeless guy. So just come as you are and we'll make it real brief, maybe about 10 minutes. Sound good? And she says, sound good. Now you could say, does now work for you? Or you could say, cool, what's tomorrow looking like as far as your schedule is concerned? Now, this is another soundbite that we always throw in when asking for the FaceTime call or even asking for the hangout, which is, what's your week looking like? Or what's your day looking like, so that she can throw out some available times and then you just say, oh, I happen to have that time free too. It's much better than saying, well, how about tomorrow at 7? Because then if she says, no, I'm not available, you're kind of in the jackass thirsty position where you're backpedaling and asking her, whoa, what about 8? What about 6? Instead, it's better to simply ask her, what's your schedule looking like tomorrow? She says 6 o'clock, you say, perfect. I get off at 5, that works for me too. I'll call you on FaceTime. Sound good? She says, sound good. Now, when you do the FaceTime, what I suggest you do is treat it just like you would a date. Now, obviously, you're not in my coaching program, but we go over heavily what to do on the first date, what to talk about, how to give value, how to tell stories, how to control the frame. This is a major part of seducing a woman because the first conversation and the first date are literally the most important times you're going to have in your quote unquote seduction. You're not in my program. I don't understand why, but you're not. So the best I can tell you is you have to treat that FaceTime call like a date. You're running your gambits. You're telling stories. You're dropping value. You're cracking her up. You're breaking rapport. You're doing push-pull. You're doing cold reading. You're qualifying her. It's a mini date within a 10-minute space. And boys, the most I suggest you do with this girl, unless you guys are really hitting it off, is 10 minutes. But that also necessitates the advice that you need to be the one who ends it. Always leave her on a high note. How much should you give her of how much she wants from you? That's right. You're a smart motherfucker. It's 80%. So when you give her 80% of what she wants rather than 100% or God forbid 120% of what she wants from you, she's going to want more of you. She's going to want to go on that date. If you have trouble with what to talk about, I've literally launched 604 episodes now. So go through my material, look for titles called Attraction Building Technique. Those are the kinds of things that you want to use on that first FaceTime call, which again is about 10 minutes. So you go into the call, you do such things as asking her what she does for a living, busting her chops a little bit. Then of course she asks you what you do for a living. And then what do? You answer it in the 3-part answer that I've taught you guys a few times on this podcast anthology, which goes like this. First, you say something funny, then you say the truth, then you tell a story about how it is that you became what you are. Some of the funny things that me and my clients say to girls, which guys, these things kill and absolutely spike attraction, is I'm an ass model. I'm a penguin valet. I work at the zoo and I pick up penguins because when penguins fall over, they can't pick up themselves. I'm a backflip expert. I'm a funeral hugger. I go to funerals and I hug people because they're really sad and it actually pays really well. And one we've been using lately with great success is I'm a sex doll tester. Used on girls, of course, that don't seem too conservative. So what we're doing here is one of the gambits that I teach, which is how to answer the question of what do you do in a way that makes her interested, makes her laugh, and then also tells a story. It's a 3-part answer. First thing you say is funny. I'm an ass model. Second thing you say is the truth. No, actually, I'm an NLP coach. Do you know what NLP is? She says no. Third thing I do is tell a story about how when I lived in Japan, I had anxiety. So I hired an NLP coach. The guy completely rewrote my brain, totally got rid of my anxiety, changed my life to a level so deeply that now I too am an NLP coach. I teach guys confidence, self-esteem. I remove belief systems. I lessen the severity of traumas that they've had. I give them unbreakable confidence, and I allow them to level up in their life by remapping the programming inside their head. And as you know, boys, I include a custom 12-week NLP protocol in my 3-month coaching program, along with all the templates, all the gambits, everything what to do, coaching calls, Facebook group access with 750 men. It's just the most gangster ass 3-month coaching program ever created. Why you haven't signed up yet, I don't understand. But if you're interested, click the link in the description below and you and I will see if we're a good fit for you. So what you're doing is you're running these gambits. Your objective is not only to see if she makes the cut as far as her physical attractiveness, but also to get her attracted to you. Why? Because as I said, women have a distinct advantage on the dating apps. She's getting hit up all the time. So if you could get her onto a FaceTime call, a Google Meet call, or whatever it is, drop value, get her attracted, you could close the date right there on the call. And that's what you want to do. Every great salesman knows before you let the prospect get off the phone, book another time with them. Get something on the calendar. If they say, I don't know, I have to think about it, and you're like, okay, well, let me know, they're gone. They're out like sauerkraut. They're a puff of dust, and you fucked up. So you need to close the date. And the way you do that is the exact soundbite I gave you previously. So, hey, Kelly, I really enjoyed talking to you today. I think we owe it to ourselves to hang out sometime. Do you agree with this brilliant conclusion? And when you say, do you agree with this brilliant conclusion, you kind of got to smile. You're just kind of joking. You're throwing in something that's a little bit funny. And then she'll smile and say, yeah, I agree with that brilliant conclusion. Then you say, cool, what's your week looking like? Boys, use that word for word. So, hey, Kelly, you seem pretty cool. I think we owe it to ourselves to hang out sometime. Do you agree with that brilliant conclusion? She laughs. Yes, I do. Cool, what's your week looking like? She's like, well, usually I work until 5, and then I have something on Wednesday, so that won't work. But Thursdays, like from 5 to 9, I'm free. You'd be like, perfect. Thursdays, I'm free too. I love to go to this XYZ place. If you promise to behave yourself and not burn down that bar like you did last week, you should come with me. Sound good? She says, sound good. Cool, I'll text you with more details. You guys end the call. You have a date set up. You have confirmed that she's beautiful. You've confirmed she's feminine. She's fun to talk to. She's not some mountain troll who's lying on the dating app with the pictures she put up. And you also ran game. You were able to separate yourself from the rest of the sea donkeys who are just messaging her, trying to get her on a date, doing all the wrong shit, hence having an only 25% success ratio. You are different. You're moving these girls over to a FaceTime call. Now, going back to what I said, I literally say, and I want you guys to steal this, I'll be dressed like a homeless man, so don't worry about how you look. Come as you are. The reason I say that is because I understand female psychology. The second she sees that she's going to be on a FaceTime call, she's going to be like, oh shit, I got to get ready. I got to put makeup on. I got to get my hair done. But this guy just said he's going to look like a homeless man, so I can just come as I am. Then she's going to show up as she is. You can see what she looks like. As far as how you look, you should look your best, bro. I mean, I would do my hair, I would shave, I might wear a collared shirt, but at least a shirt like the one I'm wearing here that fits me well, shows off some of your epic muscles, shows off some of your sick tattoos. Like, you want to flex up a little bit. Don't want to look try hard, but you do want to look good. Make sure your hygiene is dialed. Now, a few other tips on this. You guys can literally have a piece of paper and write down everything that you want to talk about. You could be like, okay, I'm going to do a cold read. I'm going to do the cube. I'm going to do messages in water. I'm going to tell this story and that story. Oh, and I'm going to qualify her, which, by the way, boys, qualifying is gangster on that first FaceTime call. Go look it up in my podcast anthology if you haven't heard about what qualifying is. It's literally the 4th pillar of attraction in my 4 pillars of attraction that I teach to all my students. So important, so critical. Dude, if you do all that, she's going to be so attracted to you. And you did the 5 Ps. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. So while it looks offhand, it looks like you're not trying, you're just chilling, kind of having a talk with her, you have your notes there, you've prepared, you're gonna run these sick gambits, get her attracted to you, and you know word for word how to close the hangout. You close the hangout on that call, then you text her to arrange the finer details, bam, date is set in stone. Then when you guys meet on the date, you hug her, you'll be like, hey, you come over here, give her a hug, because that breaks the physical ice, as I always say. Then bam, the date is off on the right foot. Rather than being on the dating apps and saying, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? And she's like, let me think about it. Instead, you try to get a micro yes, which is another term used in sales, where if you could get a smaller yes, then you can build up to the bigger yes. The smaller yes is a FaceTime call, not super committed. She can be at home. She can be comfortable. It's 10 minutes. And she's more likely to say yes to that. Once you get her attracted, she's more likely to say yes to the date, and then you can close the date. But guys, here's the truth of it. If you're relying on the dating apps, I have to question you. I have to question how much balls you have in that pants of yours. I have to question how confident you are in yourself cold approaching women. I have to ask, when's the last time you saw a hot girl who you didn't know what to say to, and then she walked out of your life forever and you'll never see her again? You came home and masturbated in a puddle of your own tears. For a lot of you guys, the answer is often. You hide behind the dating apps. You use it as a crutch. You say, I can't go talk to girls in person, so I'm going to settle for these sevens on the dating apps, which, make no mistake, most girls on the dating apps round out to about 7 because you're fearful. If you just had the confidence in yourself to go up to her in person, if you just knew what to say, everything would change. Now, I'm not hating on dating apps as a whole. I think that they're a good supplement to fill the top of your pipeline with as many girls as possible. And that's what we do in my coaching program. I literally get my guys on at least 6 dating apps. What happens then? They're having dozens of conversations. They're getting multiple dates per week. They're getting reps, just like reps in the batting cages. But if they get to week 6 and they're still in the dating apps, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And a lot of guys are like, yeah, I just like them. I'm like, that's cool. But I'm going to tell you this, boys, when you get really good with women, you get rid of the dating apps by choice. You don't even need them. Why? Because just like I keep talking about, girls on the dating apps are like 7, maybe 8 at the best. Why would you do that when there's a 9 and a 10 in your everyday life at the nightclubs, the bars, the supermarket, Starbucks, your freaking gym, your yoga class? There's so many hot girls. I had a client in Denver the other day be like, bro, there's no hot girls around. I'm like, are you high? It was his first week. I'm like, are you high? Here's a place, here's a place, here's a place, here's a place, here's a place. Now he's going out to those places, yanking all kinds of phone numbers, getting laid consistently. It's all about changing your mindset, changing your programming, which is exactly what we do in my 3-month coaching program with NLP. There is an abundance of hot women out there. There is templates for what to say. You do have the confidence within you to roll up to a solid 10 in your eyes. Talk to her, get her attracted to you, yank her phone number right there on the street. Don't have to rely on the dating apps anymore. But while you are relying on them, especially if you don't come into my program and for the rest of your life, you're just getting these 7s off the dating apps, use that template, which is messaging on the dating apps, over to FaceTime or Google Meet, onto the date, use all the sound bites that I gave you. They absolutely work. And for you guys who are ready to take your game to the next level, to stop relying on the crutch of the dating apps, I'm available to you, brothers. I am ready to talk to you about whether or not we're a good fit for you to 10x your results with women. And that's what we literally do with every single client. I was looking at the client sheet today and I was like, oh, that guy's killing it. That guy's killing it. That guy's killing it. That guy's about to kill it. Oh, another guy killing it. Another guy. I'm just like, dude, every single guy who comes in here gets the success if he does the work. And that's the catch. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I got gallons and gallons of water here for you, gentlemen. All you have to do is sign up and get the absolute vault full of secrets and gold that I'm ready to reveal to you. Just imagine all the templates I have in my 20 years of doing this that I give to you to use on the dating apps. Not only the dating apps, but conversations in person, conversations in nightclubs, in bars, at the gym game, coffee shop game, yoga game, freeway game. We got all the game. Your street work is going to be absolutely incredible. You are going to be getting more girls than you know what to do with. And that's what I teach too, the spreadsheet method for managing all these girls. If you want to come join us, you know what to do. Click the link in the description below, sign up. You and I will talk, see if you're a good fit. Then you're going to get on the call with my team to see if we can at least 10x your results with women, as we do with every single client. What are you waiting for, brother? I'm available to you. Gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please use it. Don't just listen to this and be like, oh, that was cool. No, use it, man. Try it. The shit works. And come back on Thursday because I have an awesome one that's coming for you. I'm really excited about this one. It is absolutely gangster, and I can't wait to release it. So stay tuned for that one, and I will see you in the next episode.